Hey, heathens. Welcome back to the Deadly Faith Podcast. I am jumping in because today we are doing a re-upload of the Ed Gein story. I wanted to jump in before we re-upload the episode and let you guys listen to it because I have some thoughts, and I'm sure you know what my thoughts are and where they are coming from. If you don't, let's just jump into it. So Netflix released the Ed Gein story, the monster, whatever, a handful of months ago, and I did not realize it was created by the same people who did the Jeffrey Dahmer case monster series. I did not watch the Jeffrey Dahmer because I had a lot of issues with it, even from somebody who didn't watch it. There was a lot of people who romanticized Jeffrey Dahmer. There were people that were making t-shirts that said, "I'd let Dahmer eat me." It was very, very disgusting, especially in regards to the victims and the families that are still alive and are still having to relive this. And they're seeing their families and their loved ones' murder sensationalized and romanticized in a way that is just disgusting and not ethical, in my opinion, and in Lola's. So I did not realize, if I would have known that they were made by the same creators, I wouldn't have tried the Ed Gein story, but I had tried to give it the benefit of the doubt. So I started watching it, and I got a handful of episodes in. But the moment I about wanted to throw the remote at my TV was when they brought in Bernice Worden, the woman who owned the warehouse, not really warehouse, but like a hardware store. When they brought her character into the show, they were so disrespectful to her memory. They made it out as if she had a crush on Ed Gein and that they were in some kind of relationship. The way they portrayed her was this floozy, just brain-rotted woman that's just looking for a man. It was disgusting. I can kind of give people grace when they're creating shows like this, when they kind of expand on the story to make it better for entertainment. I don't necessarily agree with it, especially when it comes to stories like this, but I can give grace. But when they literally change the facts and change the victim's story and their personality and who they were, and they literally take their memory and just shove it into the dirt and step on it and shit on it, I have a huge fucking problem with. So I immediately stopped listening or watching the show. And anybody that talks to me about it, they will tell you very quickly that, yeah, I have a big problem with it because I let it be known that I have a huge problem. These stories are very gruesome. The Jeffrey Dahmer story, it's gruesome. The Ed Gein story, it's fucking gruesome. You don't need to sensationalize it anymore or romanticize it. It's a fucked up story all in and of itself. It doesn't really need your help. And if you're going to use that story as inspiration, that's one thing. But if you're literally retelling the story, get the fucking facts straight and don't dehumanize the character of the victims, because that's just disgusting. So yeah, I have a huge problem with that show, as you guys can tell. So I wanted to do this re-upload so that everybody could remind themselves the true, real story of Ed Gein and the memory of the victims, Bernice Worden and the tavern owner, what was her name? Mary Hogan. So remember them for who they truly were and not who Netflix has made them out to be, because it's disgusting. And I have an issue with it. So enjoy the episode and correct people when they talk about the Ed Gein story, because a lot of people were talking to me about that thing, like taking certain things as fact. And I was like, oh, honey, that's not real. That's not real. That's not real. That's not how it happened. Anyways, I will stop talking and let you guys get into the episode. Thanks for enjoying this re-upload. We will see you guys in a couple weeks for a new episode. All right, enjoy. Hey, heathens, you're listening to the Deadly Faith Podcast, where religion and crime collide. I'm Lacey.
And I'm Lola.
And this shit is graphic.
The mind that was in Jesus, that mind is in me.
Without me, life has no meaning.
Why would God tell you what I'm thinking and tell you what I've said to my wife or my husband when you're not around? It's because I'm the pastor of the church and I need to know.
This is the only place where you can see truth.
No.
I know. And I'm going to be honest. I came up
She said it was a long case too. So great.
We're going to be here for just a little bit. It's a one-parter though. I'm not going to make it into two. I'm going to be honest. I came up with that word right as I said it.
Are you serious?
I'm not kidding. I totally forgot to come up with my word this week. But, if you clicked on this episode, then you know it's going to be a graphic one because we're talking about Ed Gein.
I don't know. How would they know?
Well, Ed Gein's pretty infamous. And I'm kind of shocked you don't realize who he is. And I'm wondering when I start telling the story, you go, oh, fuck, this is him. I feel like that's going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll let you know when that happens. Proceed.
All right, let's jump into the trigger warnings. We're going to talk about extreme religious indoctrination, murder. The murder itself isn't pretty graphic, but we're going to also be talking about mutilations, which are going to be extremely graphic. And you're going to understand there's no way around it really. I've got to mention all of the graphicness. So,
okay.
Yeah, buckle up, bitches, because here we go. Now, Ed Gein, he was born Edward Theodore Gein, and he was born on August 27th, 1906 to George and Augusta Gein. George, his father, had a rough upbringing. He was orphaned at the age of 3 when his family died in a wagon accident and drowned in a river. I know, I don't understand the story fully because he's only 3 and he was left home alone. I don't know, maybe somebody was left with him. I'm not sure, but
parenting is odd, isn't it?
Yeah, this was, back in the 1800s, but...
Oh, they didn't have the reminder on your car that's check your rear.
Yeah, well, I guess
my
it wasn't.
Subaru tells me that every time I get out.
Right? No. Well, I think it was some kind of storm and they had an accident and ended up drowning in the river in some kind of storm. Yeah, and it was his sister. I think it was his sister, his mom, and his dad. So he grew up orphaned. Mm-hmm. Now, as an adult, he grew increasingly resentful of his life circumstances, and he ended up turning to alcohol as a coping mechanism. Now, despite his unfortunate alcoholism, he was still regarded as a pretty strong man in the community. And Augusta, Ed's mom, she came from a family of German immigrants, and her upbringing was highly religious, highly religious. And she was frequently beaten if she stepped out of line. Now, this harsh treatment instilled in her a very deep hatred for immorality. And as she grew older, she became disgusted with the world's sinfulness.
Oh.
Yeah. She was described as self-righteous, domineering, and a very strict disciplinarian herself. Augusta and George met and married when she was 19 and he was 24. They quickly bonded over their shared devout Lutheran faith, but their marriage quickly deteriorated as George's drinking increased. When this happened, Augusta began to see him as a weakling, and she regularly called him that to his face.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah. It was, this marriage was toxic as fuck.
Okay.
And this was just the beginning, okay?
Great.
Her agitation grew with his drinking, and it led to frequent arguments. After George would come home from a night of drinking, Augusta would lash out in anger at him, and George would then get mad, and in turn, he'd start hitting her repeatedly.
Oh, God.
When this happened, Augusta would fall to the floor and loudly start praying for George's death.
That's a turn.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, ooh.
This girl's
shit.
Savage.
Yeah.
I wish I had done that with my ex-husband.
I know, right? There's some times where I'm like, all right, that's some petty, savage shit. And I'm here for that. But they were both toxic as fuck to each other. Now, due to Augusta's religious upbringing and strict views on sex and sexuality, she was revolted by even the mention or thought of sex. So that meant that her and George only...
have sex?
Oh, they only had sex for procreation purposes. That was it.
Oh, my God.
I know. Talk about boring as hell.
Okay.
So that can't help George's already resentful.
No wonder she's in a bad mood, too.
I know, right, girl? You just need to get some buzz going. Shit.
Get dick down, girl.
Mm-hmm. You haven't said that in so long. Oh, my gosh. Now, they did want to have kids because, that's what you're supposed to do.
It's traditional, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, their son Henry was born on January 7th, 1902, and Augusta wasn't very close to Henry because she had actually hoped for a girl. So she was kind of disappointed that she had a boy. But in 1906, they decided to try for another child, but unfortunately, it was another boy. And this was Ed.
Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. And
this was Ed.
This was Ed. And Ed was born on August 22nd, 1906. Although initially Augusta was very bitter over it, she decided that instead she was going to turn this frown upside down and she was going to devote herself entirely to her son Ed. And she was determined to raise Ed differently than all the other, quote, nasty men out in the world.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, she's like that mother thing on TikTok you were saying earlier. That it thing. That
she is
mother son thing.
And not both of her sons. She's just to Ed. She has this weird obsession with Ed that she is going to raise Ed right. And we'll get into it. Let's get into it.
Okay.
Now, Augusta, like I said earlier, was very domineering, and she aimed to make Ed fully dependent on her. So this was in every way, like physically, emotionally, spiritually, every way possible. She wanted him dependent on her. She often told him that he was a child that only a mother could love.
What? What does that mean?
Yeah. Okay. Have you ever heard my friend had a dog that this sweet dog was ugly as fuck. And she'd be like, you have a face only a mother could love.
What?
So basically telling him that you're a child that only a mother could love. Like nobody will ever love you like I do. Yeah, that's what she's telling him. And she regularly told him this. I know. Now, due to George's alcoholism, he frequently lost jobs. And in 1909, after one such incident, Augusta decided that it was time for George to start working for himself. And they bought a meat and grocery store. However, it became quickly apparent that George was no businessman. And Augusta was like, fuck, I'll take over.
Oh.
So when Augusta took over, she regulated George to just another employee. So she's like, I'm the businesswoman. You're the mediocre employee. Get to work. Yeah.
Not even employee of the month.
No. Just go sweep some shit. Now, this arrangement lasted a few years, but in 1913, Augusta decided the family should become farmers. And she bought a small farm with dairy cows and rye and shifted the family's focus to agriculture. Now, the whole reason for this shift and wanting to go out on a farm was because she wanted to get her family away from what she considered to be the evil influences of the city.
I can't wait to figure that out. Whatever she thinks is evil.
Everything, especially women.
Okay.
We'll get into that. Women are evil. Yeah. Now, the main person she wanted to protect, though, from all these influences was Ed. Mm-hmm. She regarded the townspeople as disreputable, a disreputable lot of sinners.
Oh, that's okay.
Yep.
Descriptive.
Uh-huh. After about a year on their initial land, Augusta sold it and bought an even larger piece of property with a house on it that was very, very isolated and was 195 acres. I don't know if you can imagine what 195 acres is.
195 acres.
195 acres. And the house on this property was fucking huge. Fucking huge. It was like 8 rooms. Is it 8 rooms or 19 rooms? I feel like I'm getting confused with the John List case because they had a huge ass fucking house too. Now this property, it was surrounded by marshland, trees, and meadows. It's very isolated, out in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Now, this new property featured like that very large home, a barn, equipment, and even a summer kitchen outside the main home. Do you know what a summer kitchen is?
Yes, and I want one.
Oh my gosh. Okay, for those that are listening who don't know what a summer kitchen is, it's literally just like an outside kitchen. Sometimes they're open and just have like a overing, like a covering over them.
It's like a patio, but kitchen.
Yeah. Patio. Yeah, like a patio kitchen. But
some of them are like a sunroom.
Yes. Like some of them can be somewhat enclosed. Yeah, yeah. And I think that's what Ed had at this house in Augusta. I think it was attached to the home, but very much think like patio type coverings and like screen type windows. So it's like open breeze type thing. Okay.
So nice.
Yes. For now.
Okay.
We'll come back to that summer kitchen.
No. Don't ruin it for me.
Now, I have to make a note of this. These land purchases were around 1914. And all of these land purchases, even the business, I'm pretty sure, was not purchased in George's name. It was all in Augusta's.
In her name? Yeah.
In her name.
That doesn't surprise me.
But it's 1914. This is basically
Oh, wait, that does surprise me.
of.
What is happening?
Yeah.
Is that legal?
To me, this just demonstrates the power and authority that Augusta wielded. In 1914, she had multiple properties in her name.
She said, fuck your boyfriend, he a bitch.
Yeah, George was not, from the records that they were able to find, George's name was not on any of them.
Wow.
Augusta said, it's mine, bitch. Back the fuck off. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now.
She knows how to take the balls off a man. That's for sure.
She makes men wonder if they ever had balls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really. Yeah. Now, Augusta, as we can all probably assume, she maintained a very clean home. She was a very tidy and organized person. Everything had its place, and every place had its thing. Now, I think I said that wrong. We're going to move
Everything
on.
Everything had its place.
I tried to add another line to it.
Every place has its thing. Everything has its place.
That. Thank you.
Whatever.
My brain hurts. Anyways. Now, if the chores weren't up to standards, then there'd be hell to pay. She kind of wielded the same kind of disciplinary actions that her family instilled in her when she was a child.
Oh, dear.
Now, growing up, young Ed struggled in school. He didn't fit in, and he was very socially awkward. He tried to mimic his peers, but it didn't help, and he didn't gain acceptance by them. Whenever he did make a friend, he'd come home and tell Augusta about it, and she would quickly end it, claiming that the child's parents had questionable morals. And then she would spend hours berating Ed about it and calling him names and tearing him down until Ed had no other choice but to go back to school the next day and just completely ignore the kid as a way to just escape his mother's wrath. Yeah, no friends. God. She wanted him 100% dependent on her, and she was going to make sure that it happened. Mm-hmm. The isolation contributed to Ed's awkward social skills, right? And inability to make eye contact. He also had a one-sided grin and would laugh at very inappropriate times. So he just didn't get any of the proper social development growing up.
Yeah.
So he just. Now, female classmates also noticed that he would stare at them, and they would catch him staring at them. And it was just super creepy, and they
uncomfy,
uncomfy, very uncomfy, very. And they said that when any person, because they're growing up, they're in middle school, sex gets brought up, okay? Kids are curious, kids are developing, they're going through their hormones. But anytime sex would be brought up, Ed would literally flee from the conversation. He would run away.
Oh my God.
Not just be shy and look away. He would literally run away.
I got a blast.
I gotta go.
Got a blast.
Yeah. Awkward. The bullying and overhearing his classmates talk about sex convinced Ed that his mother was right. And all these people were just evil in nature and
evil fiends.
Part of this outside world, right? George, the father, his alcoholism continued throughout the boy's childhood, and he was a mean drunk, a very mean drunk. He would yell, scream, and whip the boys every time he got drunk. Augusta's domineering nature didn't shield her from George's drunken abuse either. And George also didn't help around the house. So he was kind of just like a layabout. I was going to ask that.
That is not a mild offense. I'm sorry. That it's he didn't help, whatever. No, it's a big deal.
It is a huge deal, especially with 2 kids on a farm. Are you kidding me? And yes, I get he had a rough upbringing. He was orphaned. I get that, right? But
we all seen some shit. Sit down.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Now, this meant that all of the house responsibilities and the farm responsibilities were mostly left up to the boys. Augusta did a lot too, but the boys had a huge amount more. Yeah. By their teenage years, they were the ones buying the family's supplies. So they would be sent to town, and this allowed Augusta to just rarely leave the farm. So again, they're taking on more responsibilities.
Yeah.
In today's age, we can see this as a super toxic marriage and just fucking divorce.
Yeah.
You have to remember, this is,
This
early
was almost
1900s.
normal in the early 1900s. Sorry to say.
Continued. Even like our grandparents' generation.
Oh, yeah. My great-grandparents operated pretty much the same way.
Exactly. My grandparents, one of my sets of grandparents, they fucking hated each other. I thought it was normal.
Marriage is a contract. It is like, not to say that they probably, at a certain point, probably did like each other. But for the most part, it's just like, it's survival. Women had to be married in order to have a livelihood.
Yeah. On one side of my family, you have I thought it was normal for a grandpa to sleep in a completely separate, like, Yeah. We called it the Diggins. He always slept in the Diggins, and I didn't think that was weird until I got married, and I was like, dude, that's kind of fucked up. Like, what was wrong with you? And then I found out a whole lot more about their marriage, and like, they weren't in love. They stayed together as a duty, basically. And then on my other side of the family, my rest in peace, Grandma Mimi, but she actually bragged about staying with her first husband, her first husband, which was my mom and aunt's biological father, and not leaving him, even though he was an abusive alcoholic. And my mom resents that. Yeah, but that was it. Like, you had to stay together for the kids, and it's like, this is not a good situation.
Or just because you couldn't get a job, or you had no skills because you're a woman, and
But Augusta, she had all the skills. Bitch had so much property in her name, so but she wasn't. She was very religious, so I'm sure that played a huge role in, I'm not going to leave, and it does. We're going to get into that. Okay, that's my next line. Okay, I got ahead of my notes. Augusta refused to divorce George, and she said that it was God burdening her with it, and so she was going to just let it be, and this was all God's will.
Okay,
sucks. Now, as the boys grew up, Augusta instilled in them deeply held religious beliefs, just like she had growing up. She talked a lot about how women were tainted and fallen creatures, and she read mostly from the Bible, but focused on stories about wickedness, sin, and evil women. Like, she was real harping on those evil women.
Of course.
Every chance she got, she tried to warn her boys about women and how they needed to steer clear of them. And did
she want them to be gay? Sorry.
No. So the whole time I'm reading this, all I'm thinking of is Bobby Boucher's mom from The Water Boy. Have you ever seen that?
Oh my God. Yeah.
She's like, she's the devil. Like, all I kept seeing was like,
Mama warned me about girls like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Augusta's reasoning to steer her boys away from women was solely based on the evils of sex. That was it. All based around sex. She made them swear to her that they wouldn't let a woman's evil sexual temptations defile them, and went so far as to tell them that the sin of Onan was preferable to the act of sex itself. Do you know what the sin of Onan is?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. So if you don't know what the sin of Onan is, it is the sin of letting your seed fall to the floor. So it comes from Genesis 30.
You can't jack off, boy.
So Genesis 38, 8 through 10. Then Judah said to Onan, quote, sleep with your brother's wife and fulfill your duty to her as a brother-in-law to raise up offspring for your brother, end quote. But Onan knew that the child would not be his. So whenever he slept with his brother's wife, he spilled his semen on the ground to keep from providing offspring for his brother. What he did was wicked in the Lord's sight. So the Lord put him to death also.
So if you beat your meat, and you spilled on the floor.
Basically, what his mom is saying is, I would prefer you to commit the sin of Onan and masturbate than fornicate with an actual living woman. Yeah. So she's like, spank the monkey, but that's all.
All right.
Yeah. I didn't know that was called the sin of Onan. So there's your Bible lesson for the day, guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I knew about the spilling the seed.
Spilling the seed, yeah.
But
yeah. So weird. Weird flex, dude. Now, due to George's constant drinking, his health ends up deteriorating over time, and he becomes more and more of a burden to the family. He's already not working around the house. All the tasks are done by Augusta and the boys. And now that he is deteriorating in his health, they have to take care of him. So now This is another thing they're responsible for. He did end up dying at age 66, and the kids were not sad to see him go. They're like, bye, Dad. Deuces. Yeah, to them, it was a relief. Now, this was one less thing they had to care for. So,
yeah.
Not like they had sunshine and rainbows in their childhood. So,
it's not like he was an actual father figure, it seemed. I mean,
no, he was constantly drunk. So, how can you be a good father?
At least they didn't have to live in fear, too, of being beat by him.
Yeah, and he was not a functioning alcoholic. He was just a fucking alcoholic, yeah. When they bought this farm and the large house that came on the property, it was not fitted with electricity or indoor plumbing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But over the years, they planned on adding that, but they just were never able to because it was paycheck to paycheck kind of thing. Like they were barely making ends meet. During war times, the oldest son, Henry, he tried to enlist, but he was told he was too old. That's weird. Okay. Didn't realize that was a thing, but okay. Ed then tried to enlist, but unfortunately he was denied because of his drooping eye. This relieved Augusta. She was like, oh, thank the heavens, because she didn't want Ed to go. She wanted Ed to stay and be under her, watchful eye.
Of course.
Now, in order to make ends meet, the boys would take on odd jobs to bring in money. These were handyman jobs, construction jobs, lawn jobs, just like random stuff all around town. And for Ed specifically, he would actually even take on some babysitting jobs.
Interesting.
I'm gonna need you to remember that for how this case is going to end, because it's still not clicking with you of who Ed is. So for those listening who do know Ed and Ed's crimes, I'm sure you're pretty shocked right now, because I was too. I had no idea that Ed would babysit children. And not only would he babysit, but like the kids loved him. They were like that. He was their favorite babysitter. It was said that he was kind of stunted emotionally and kind of awkward. And so Ed actually kind of got along with kids more. He was able to be more on their level. And so he enjoyed it. And parents said that he was a great babysitter. They never had any issues when he watched their kids at all. So, yeah. Now, Henry was considered to be the harder worker out of the two, and he would even take on jobs further away from the home in order to earn more money and, more importantly, spend more time away from Augusta. He's like,
I blame him.
Yeah, I need a break. As the two got older, Henry thought that Augusta and Ed's connection was just too close. It was fucking weird, okay? And he tells Ed this. And when he tells Ed this, Ed is shocked. He is shooketh. He was like, what? He had assumed his whole life that Henry had the same high esteemed opinion of their mom as he did. He's like, you don't just worship mom? That's weird. She can do no wrong. She's perfect. And how dare you?
He was kind of blind to, I guess, their dynamic.
Absolutely blind to it.
Being different than his, but
he thought that Augusta could do no wrong. She was the angel of all angels. And Henry saw her shit. And Henry just was
Henry's
like, this
my boy.
Weird. Yeah, Henry's your boy. Now, unfortunately, shortly after this realization, in May of 1944, Ed insisted that him and Henry do the field burn that day. This was normally like a controlled burn that most farmers do on their land. And while the fire was going, Ed was on one side putting it out while Henry was on the other side. After Ed finished putting out his side of the fire, he realized he couldn't find Henry. And so he spent a few hours looking for him, but had no luck. So then he alerted the authorities for help. They noted that when they arrived, Ed explained what was going on, but then just walked them right to Henry's body, like a straight shot. Just walked him straight to Henry's body as if he knew that that's where he was. They're like, this is fucking weird.
What the fuck?
They found Henry laying in the burned grass with soot covering all of his clothes, but he had no burns on his body.
What?
He was laying on the burned grass. So this area had already been burned. And he's laying there with soot over him. So they're like, this is okay, what the hell? After reviewing the remains, they found he had no injuries to his body except for his head. He had some blunt force trauma, and they said it was Either he fell and hit his head on something, like a rock, or somebody hit him in the head. But there was no other evidence to point to murder. So the case was labeled an accidental death.
Oh my God.
Many, and I am one of them, believe that this was Ed's very first killing.
I was going to say, starts at home, folks. Starts at home.
So shortly after Henry's death, Augusta suffered a stroke, and it took a while for her to recover. Now, shortly after she recovers, one day, she went out to buy some straw from a farmer. This was her and Ed. And when they got to this farm, they found him in the barn. Did not list this trigger warning. Sorry, we're going to list it right now. Very small mentions of animal cruelty. So.
Oh, can I opt out?
It's not. It's not graphic.
Okay.
But it is sad. It's bad. They found the farmer in his barn beating a small puppy. And next thing they knew, they saw a woman come out of the house screaming frantically. And she is trying everything she can to get the farmer to not kill the dog. Like, she's trying to get him to stop. Now, Augusta was irate over the situation. She was pissed. But not in the way that you're probably thinking.
What?
She's not mad at the farmer for animal cruelty. She was mad at the woman for being at this farmer's house and they were not married. What?
I am ripping the door off its fucking hinges.
Right? Agreed.
Angry.
Agreed.
Hold on one second. All right.
She's red.
I'm fine. I can't walk it off. I got to scream it out.
There you go. Now, less than a week after this incident, Augusta suffered from another stroke and ended up dying on December 29th.
Good.
1945. Sorry, not sorry. Okay. Now, if you know the Ed Gein case, there are a couple suspected murder cases or disappearances that a lot of people talk about when they talk about Ed Gein. I am not going to focus on those. I'm not even going to mention them because
we're just doing confirmed.
Yes, it's a lot of fluff and I just don't have the time. Okay. So we're going to just focus on the facts that
Tell me what he did.
Yeah. So first we're going to talk about Mary Hogan. Mary Hogan owned a bar, and on Wednesday, December 8th, 1954, a patron went into her bar only to find a pool of blood on the floor along with a .32 caliber cartridge. There had been clear signs that a body had been dragged from the premises and loaded into some kind of vehicle in the back of the bar.
Wait, how long after? When did she die? When did
she? Mary Hogan?
No,
Augusta, 1945, 9 years later.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot that happens in that 9 years, and just wait, we'll get to it. Okay.
Okay.
So clearly something has happened. So authorities are alerted. They start a search. They can't find her. The search goes on for days, then weeks. Eventually, those weeks turn to months and eventually years. And there's no sign of her. And there's not one shred of evidence to point to what may have happened to her, who took her, if she was the one that shot. There's nothing. This is 1954. We didn't have DNA back then. So
yeah,
they ain't got nothing. So it just becomes a cold case pretty quickly. Now, during the years that Mary Hogan's case was open, Ed would actually make comments to people at the bar and around town that Mary wasn't missing. She was actually, in fact, at his farm.
Ed.
Now, yes, red flag. We're all like, oh my God, the biggest of red flags. But many people just chalk this up to Ed's lousy attempt at making a joke.
It's never a joke, folks. They're
like, oh,
it's never a joke.
Silly Ed. Yeah. Ed, around this time, the only friend that Ed had was a teen named Bob. Like I said, he really gets along. A teen. Yeah, he really gets along with younger kids because mentally that's kind of where he's at. So they would often hunt rabbits together on Ed's land. And at one point, Bob was over at Ed's house and he went inside and he saw 2 shrunken human heads. And Ed told him that they were real human heads from Africa. He thought this was weird. He thought Ed was just like, making shit up. But Bob never went into Ed's home again. And
Smart
boy,
fellow.
I bet he's glad about that, right? Because I'm not sure exactly when this happened. It was probably years prior to Mary Hogan going missing, but
still.
Yeah. Now we're going to talk about Bernice Worden. Trust me, all of these connect. We will get into that.
I like puzzle pieces. Hand them over.
There you go. Bernice Worden's your next puzzle piece. And on Saturday, November 16th, it was the first day of hunting season. And Bernice Worden was at their family's hardware store working while her son was out for the day hunting. Now, Bernice was known to be a pillar of the community and was seen as a very strong, independent, and fantastic businesswoman. She was also the very first woman in Plainfield to be featured as Plainfield Citizen of the Week in 1956.
That's cool.
she's a like badass woman, basically. She ain't gonna take your shit.
Mad respect.
Now, on that morning of November 16th, Ed brought in a jug to the hardware store and asked for some antifreeze. Lately, it had become very normal for Ed to come and hang around the store very awkwardly. But everybody around town knew Ed. They knew he was awkward. It was just kind of Ed being Ed.
He's just that character of the town.
He is, definitely.
Okay.
And so they kind of just put up with it as much as it kind of like weirded some people out. Some people didn't really know how to handle him. They just kind of let him be his odd self. So even though this was odd, Bernice was still very nice to Ed that day, and she grabbed his jug, she filled it up, and then she wrote up a receipt for him. Ed then turned and went back to his car. Shortly after that, though, he returned, like within seconds. So he goes, puts his car, turns around, comes back in the store. And he asks about a gun that he wanted to try and buy. So Bernice goes to the gun rack, takes it down, hands him the weapon for Ed to examine. As Ed was looking over the gun, she walks to like the front of the store where like the big window, for the front of the store is. And she's just looking across. She makes comments about there's like a station set up next door or across the street where they're checking deer tags and things like that. And then she looks down and makes a comment about there being like more people downtown than she expected. And she can't see Ed, but while her back's turned, he pulls a bullet out of his coat pocket, loads the weapon, raises it, and shoots Bernice Worden in the back.
She didn't do anything to you. What?
Absolutely nothing. He then drug her body through the store, loaded her into the company's truck, and around 8:45 to 9 o'clock, the store owner across the street said that they saw the company's panel truck leave, but couldn't make out who was driving, except that they knew it was a male. That was it. Now, later that morning, Ed was hauling ass home when he passed a man coming from his land with a deer strapped to his roof. The man instantly felt bad because Ed was not okay with people hunting on his land, and he wasn't a big fan of deer hunting. Like, he didn't like it. He was known to not like deer hunting. And so he was like, oh shit. And he kind of just prepared himself for a confrontation with Ed. Surprisingly, though, Ed just kept driving. Later on that day, the man was like, oh, I feel really bad. I want to go apologize. So he drives over to Ed's house. When he got to Ed's place, he noticed that Ed was outside in 3 inches of snow, changing his tires from snow tires to regular tires. It's November.
Why?
In Wisconsin. 3 inches of snow is on the ground. He's like, okay, that's weird. But again, brushed it off as Ed being Ed because he's weird. He's odd. Now, he apologizes to Ed, but he can tell that Ed's just like really trying to get him to go. Like, just leave. He's feeling pushed out. So he leaves. Now, a few hours later, Ed's teenager friend, Bob, came by and asked if he could take him into town to get a battery for their car since it wouldn't start. Ed agreed, and at about 5 p.m., Bob's mom then invited Ed over to have dinner with them. Now, I'm going to rewind a couple hours.
Okay.
We're going to rewind to about midday that same day.
Cool.
Bernice's son comes back from hunting and notices that the shop seems to be closed up, and he didn't remember his mom mentioning closing early. So he's like, that's weird. He's not alarmed, though. It's just like, that's a little weird. That is until he went into the store and he was confronted with the horror of blood splattered around the front of the store and blood smears clearly depicting that a body had been dragged through the store and out the back door. He immediately called authorities and an investigation ensued. As the cops were looking around the hardware store, they found the sales receipt for the antifreeze. Bernice's son instantly knew who she'd sold the antifreeze to because just the day before, Ed had come in and had asked if they sold antifreeze. Then he asked Bernice's son if he was going to be out the next day due to it being, the first day of hunting season. Like, are you going to be gone? You gonna go hunting?
Oh my, he premeditated this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ed had already been hanging around the store awkwardly for days. So in hindsight, this behavior was now very suspicious. Bernice's son started wondering, had Ed been pre-planning an attack on his mom? And did he ask him if he was going to be gone hunting just to make sure it would only be him and Bernice in the store that morning? Good questions. I'd be thinking the same fucking thing. So
dun,
now...
Dun, dun.
Exactly. Ed now becomes suspect numero uno. So the next steps are for the cops to find Ed. And they were notified pretty quickly that he was over at Bob Hill's home having dinner with them. It's a small town. Everyone knows everybody. So they knew he was over. Everyone knew he was over at their house. So the cops go over there. And at dinner, Bob had asked Ed if he would take him downtown to see what all the commotion was about, and Ed agreed. So when the cops get there, they see Ed sitting in his truck outside waiting for Bob to come outside. So the cops go up to him and have him get out of the truck, and they, asked Ed to, hey, what did you do today? Go through your day with us. So Ed then went through his day-to-day activities, and once he finished, they asked him to tell him again. What did you do today? Tell me again. Go through it one more time. After Ed goes through it a second time, they then inform him that he did not tell the same story twice. And when they inform him of this, the next words out of Ed's mouth were, somebody framed me. And then the cops were like, for what?
That is so.
I know, right?
Somebody frame me.
Somebody frame me. And they're like, for what? And he goes, for Miss Warden. And they're like, what about Miss Warden? And they're like,
brought up Miss Warden.
Mm-mm.
What are you doing?
And Ed goes, well, she's dead. And they go, how do you know that? And he's like, somebody told me.
He's very good. He's very good.
Right. Yeah. So good. Cops are fooled. They let him go and that's it. Right. No, they're like, all right, we're taking you in. At this point, they didn't know that she was dead.
Oh.
There was not a whole lot of blood. They just knew like something had happened.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know that was her blood. They didn't know she was dead. She was missing at this point. Right. So they take him in for further interrogation.
Well, where did this person tell you they took her?
I know, right? All right, let's come have a chat here, Ed. Now, as they take him down to the police station, other officers went to Ed's home to investigate. Now, I'm going to give you another trigger warning. It's going to be graphic from here on out. All right. So
all
like, right. Yeah, take a breath.
I'm good.
Don't hold it because you will die. So they tried a few doors. They were all locked, but they did find that the summer kitchen was unlocked. And like, from what I can understand, the summer kitchen was attached to the home, but it just kind of had those like, mesh windows, breezeway kind of thing. So the officers step into the summer kitchen and it's late at night. It's dark at this point. And as they walked in, something brushed up against one of the officers' jackets. And so with his flashlight, he turned around to see what it was. And in front of him, hanging from its feet with its trunk split open and completely disemboweled, was hanging the decapitated body of Bernice Warden. I know. I wish you guys could see Lola right
now. No, thank you. No, thanks.
No,
I don't need that. Bye.
Oh, nope. Just wait.
Okay.
It took a minute I'm laughing because it's awkward. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's what they do in haunted houses. Okay.
Right?
Sorry. Mm-hmm. Proceed.
It took a minute for the cop to register what the fuck he was looking at. But once it hit him, he had to go outside and throw up.
Same.
Right? I don't think I could go back in. Everybody that had to go into Ed Gein's home this night, I hope they just went to therapy because I tell you, man, he calls for backup. Now, as backup gets there, they all go back in to the summer kitchen, and every single one of them is just stunned into silence at what they're looking at. But they have a job to do. So they decide to proceed into Ed Gein's home. And boy, did they not know what they're about to walk into.
Get to it, girl. I'm nervous.
Now, like I said, I know I feel like I'm like going slow. Sorry. Now, like I said earlier the home was not equipped with indoor plumbing or electricity. So this first initial investigation, because yes, there's multiple investigations into this home, had to be done by flashlight and lamplight only. So I want you to like kind of put yourself into this state of like fucking eeriness. It's like going through a haunted house at night.
Like those paranormal videos.
Seriously.
Where it's all in the dark.
But this is real life. Okay. This is fucking real life. And you just saw a decapitated dead body that had been disemboweled and hung from its feet hanging in the summer kitchen.
Smells bad. Smells real bad.
So bad. So fucking bad. Okay. And that was a fresh body.
Oh, fine. I almost threw up. I almost gagged. Okay.
Now, as they walked into the home, they quickly saw that it was complete chaos. Calling Ed's home dirty would be an understatement. Was it
like Pazuzu level though?
Yeah. and worse. Gross. It was cluttered with piles of everything imaginable. They even spotted a coffee can stuffed with used chewing gum. What the fuck? Get a trash can. The wash bowl that's meant for like washing your hands was instead filled with sand. Why? I don't fucking know. Okay. Every surface and object in the house was coated in the thickest layer of dust. It was a hoarder home that smelt to high fucking heaven. Now, trigger warning again, because it's going to get bad, all right? As they began sifting through the home, they noticed a very funny looking soup bowl. Soup, like you're going to eat soup bowl. But upon further investigation, they realized that it was the sawed off top of a skull that he used.
The soup bowl?
The soup bowl was the sawed off top of a skull.
So, not to make light of this, but like on The Office.
Oh no.
On The Office. If you watch it, you already know what I'm about to say. Dwight is eating his like rations that from his Armageddon supply. And Creed is like, he's telling everyone what they would do in the apocalypse. He's like, you'll all come back to my cabin and I won't let you in because you made fun of me because of doing this. And he's like, Meredith will be sold as a slave. Pam will do this. Jim will be fine. And then Creed's like, what will I do? And he's like, your head will be made into a soup bowl. Your skull will be made into a soup bowl.
They probably got it from this case. I barely get it from this case. I'm not kidding. He took this is a real skull. This isn't a fake skull. This isn't a plastic skull. God. This is somebody's real skull. He saw the top off and he ate it out of it with a soup bowl. I wish this was the only thing they found though. Because as they continued to dig through the home.
It's just easier to get a bowl from Dollar General.
It really is.
Anyway.
Dollar Tree. It's even cheaper.
Yes. So.
As they continued to dig through the home, they found more and more gruesome and disturbing artifacts. On top of finding multiple more skulls, 2 of which were put on the bedposts as some morbid decor, they also found 4 chairs with woven strips of skin used as the seat.
Woven? He's weaving on the loom with skin?
It gets worse. They also found lampshades, bracelets, a waist basket, a tom-tom, and a leather, like a knife sheath. All made from human skin. Human fucking skin.
No! Stop! No! Not a step further in that direction. Not a step further.
They even found a handmade belt made fully out of female nipples.
Okay, now listen.
And a shade pole decorated with real women's lips.
Sorry? What?
A shade pole. So I think it was like a pole that like you'd put like a umbrella on, like an outdoor umbrella, and he decorated it with real human lips.
You know what? Interior design is not for this man.
No.
And that's just the least of it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's the least of the comments I want to make.
It still goes on. They found a shoebox full of 9 female genitals, vulvas to be exact. Which, if you don't know, human anatomy, vulvas is the entire female.
The outside front thing.
Mm-hmm. Like, if you like
that's
all of it. Yeah. And the lips, like it's the whole thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And most of these were shriveled, but one of them had been painted silver and had been adorned with a red ribbon. I don't know why. Another one of them was very, very fresh and had the vagina and anus intact. So it was like all of it. After some closer inspection, they found crystals on top of it and realized that it had been sprinkled with salt and in a weird, creepy attempt to try and preserve it. They also found, I wish you guys could see Lola's face.
I'm holding my nose like it's gonna help.
Well, you might not be holding it next. They found another box that had 4 noses in it. Yep. And then they found a Quaker Oats box full of random, just human fragments. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, if I didn't get the Aldi brand already, I would be switching to the Aldi brand instead of Quaker, because you just ruined that for me. So jot that down.
And then to the shock and horror of literally everybody on the scene, they found that Ed had even created wearable items out of the human skin.
That's not...
I know.
Fashion. That's not fashion.
No, this is just bad. He had made leggings, a top that had been created by carefully skinning out one of the individuals, and even a very large collection of human masks, with many of them still having the hair and the scalp and like everything intact. It was like a full head mask, not just like a front mask. I mean, the full...
Like a Michael Myers, like the...
Yes. Michael Myers' hair, face, all of it. Yeah. The officers said that some of them were very dried out, while others looked very like smooth, as if he had tried to like rub some kind of oil on them to try and preserve them. They also said that if anybody knew the victim, it wouldn't be hard for them to recognize them just by looking at the mask.
Oh my God.
I know.
Oh, that's so much worse. I would rather not.
I would rather not.
I would rather not.
Hours into the investigation, one officer ended up finding a moth-eaten horsehide blanket in the corner. And when he went to go pick it up, it like unfolded and something rolled out of it. It was a brown paper bag. So he bent over and went to pick up the bag, and he went to inspect what was inside. When he opened it and shined his light inside, he saw a large amount of hair. In basically a daze, and like probably somewhat numb to like everything they had seen that night, he just reached in and grabbed it and pulled it out. And shockingly, it was another fully intact mask. As the officer was holding up the head, another officer looks over and says, quote, "Oh my God, it's Mary Hogan."
Not Mary Hogan.
It's Mary Hogan. It had been 3 years since her disappearance.
And he could recognize it?
Yeah.
This is not real life.
No eyeballs. The eyeballs are not there. It's literally just the mask. And he could still recognize it. Like that's...
Okay, I have questions about preservation. I have questions. Did they find out who all of these...
Yes. Well...
All of it.
Yes and no.
All the skin and lips and the everything?
Yes and no. We'll get to that, I promise.
Okay.
We have full... We pretty much. We have full answers to the end. So I'm not leaving you hanging on anything. Mine is Henry's. We don't know about Henry's death, but you can make your assumptions there. Mm-hmm. All right. So through the night, they uncovered countless bones, body parts, lips, noses, breasts, vaginas, legs, and so much more. I mean, it was, in the book that I read, they called it a morbid excavation from hell.
Sounds like it.
Just think of any hoarder's home, and then walking into it, and everything you picked up, there was something fucking morbid falling out behind it. And it's not a haunted house. This is fucking real life, right? Now, one thing that was oddly disturbing and completely out of place was one bedroom that had been boarded up. The investigators were terrified at what lay inside. If the rest of Ed's house was as horrific as they were discovering, then
can I make a guess?
Yeah.
Is it his mother's body?
That is a good guess. You're wrong, though, but that is a good guess.
Okay.
No. So with no other choice, because, they got to open it, they open the door. They take off the boards off, they took all the boards off and they opened it up. And to their kind of creepy horror, they end up finding a pristine room in pristine condition. Yeah, it's covered in dust everywhere, but it's orderly, it's neat, and it looks like it hasn't been touched in fucking years.
That's his mom's room.
Yep, exactly. Ding, ding,
I knew it
ding,
had to do with mom.
It did.
I knew it.
Yep.
It'd be something for her.
It was Ed's mom's room, and apparently after he passed, he boarded it up as if it was some shrine he made to preserve her memory.
You mean after she passed?
Yeah. Sorry, did I say he? Yeah, she.
Yeah.
After she passed, he boarded it up. Now, let's get back to Bernice Worden's remains.
Oh, Bernice. I'm so sorry, baby.
Yeah. She's hanging in the summer kitchen outside. Her body was photographed, and throughout the investigation of the home, they were able to uncover her heart that was in a plastic bag in front of the stove, and her intestines that were in another bag that had been stuffed into a suitcase with some other men's clothes. It's fucking random. Like, they're finding shit everywhere in nooks and crannies. It's so weird. And they
I'm
ended
expecting like a Dahmer thing where it's like all in the kitchen.
No.
In a fridge, but no. Okay.
No, it's everywhere minus the fridge. I don't think they found fucking shit in the fridge. It's just all over the house. Well, there's no electricity. So I don't even think he had a fridge.
I forget. Right. I forget. Yep. Sorry.
Yeah, I did too. And they also found her head in a burlap sack, stuffed between two mattresses in the corner of the summer kitchen. Random. Now, the summer kitchen's not heated, right? So this is like out, you know? Out, like
in the cold.
In the cold, right? So when they pull the head out, the officer said that they could see steam coming from the head. I know. It was still that fresh.
What?
I know. Fucking weird. Now it's going to get worse. When they found the head, to their horror. I know. To their horror, they discovered that Ed had taken 2 3-inch nails and bent them and then pierced them through the tops of Miss Worden's ears and then bent them close to create basically these like huge ass rings, but at the top of her ears, like hoops, and then attached a chain around it so that he could fucking hang her head up like it was some kind of morbid decoration piece.
I would ask who raised him, but I already know.
Right? Fucking Augusta. Ugh. Now.
What? Oh,
I know.
Okay.
Now, remember earlier where I talked about the box of vulvas?
Yes.
That fresh looking one. Later test results did confirm that it was Bernice Worden's.
You mean the one that was fully intact?
Yeah, with the anus and vagina, like everything. That was Bernice Worden's. Yeah.
Disrespectful.
Just all of it. The next day, they tried to interrogate Ed, but he clammed up and wouldn't answer a thing. One officer was so distraught at what he had been through and found in Ed's home that he ended up attacking Ed, and it took 3 officers to pull him off of Ed.
I get it.
Right? I can't blame him. Unfortunately, during this time, Ed was never advised of his rights as the interrogation went on for hours, but he never confessed to anything, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
But then on Monday, so I think it was like a day or 2 later, Ed finally confessed to killing Miss Worden. This was like the very next day. So like he was caught Saturday night. Sunday, he doesn't confess. Monday, he confesses. Okay. And he confessed to killing Miss Worden. But he said that he couldn't remember details because he was in a, quote, daze. And he holds up this for a really long time. He then tried to claim that the murder was a complete accident. Oops. I didn't mean to actually kill anyone. It just
the handbag head really happened. Seems like an accident. Okay.
Yeah. They asked if there were any other murder victims, but he said no. He does not realize that they have found the head of Mary Hogan. So you did something. When they confronted him with all the evidence and body parts they had found within his home, he said that those weren't murder victims. They were actually parts from dead bodies he had robbed from graves.
That's... Are you dumb? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that one. So apparently, starting in 1947, just a couple years after, 2 years after his mom died, and This ended in 1954. Ed started robbing graves. The way that he would do this was he would look into the paper and find new obituaries of freshly deceased women between the ages of 20 and 50. And then he would go to their gravesite, dig up their freshly buried corpses, take it back to his house, or just take what he wanted before closing the coffin and reburying it as if nothing had ever happened. He literally would make it look like nobody had touched the grave because the grave had already been disturbed because it was freshly buried. There's not grass over it.
Yeah.
Freshly fucking buried. It's still loose dirt. It's not compacted down. So it's not hard for him to fucking go out and dig it up in the middle of the night and then close it back up.
I hate how clever he was. I hate that.
I know. Ed said that he struggled with these urges to rob graves for some time, but when these urges would arise, he would try to pray, and sometimes he said it actually worked, and he'd snap out of whatever daze he was in.
Didn't work well enough.
Right? He tried to say that this whole grave robbing thing and mutilating bodies was purely scientific.
Yeah, looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah, because
the
growing
woven
up,
chair.
Yeah, that's some science. I'm being sarcastic, everyone. Because growing up, he wanted to be a doctor and just, decided to learn about human anatomy firsthand. Because that's how this should work.
There are books.
Ed, right?
There are many books in that time in which you live.
Oh, when he read them. He had many books about Nazi stuff, war camps, anatomy, crimes.
Well, if he knew how to skim them to the degree in which he did, he had to have studied because
he studied, but it was not for scientific reasons. It was for some fucked up desire you had in your head, and you can't get me to believe anything else.
What did he do with all the blood? What did he do with?
He would drain the blood and then he would go and bury it out in the pasture.
Did he eat people?
He vehemently, I talk about this a little bit later, but no, he vehemently says that he denies it. He did not eat any of his cannibal.
Out of the skull bowl, but
just wait.
That's where it stops. I draw the line.
Okay, I talk about this in just a little bit. Hold on, I'm going to come back to that. He said he knew this was wrong, but that he, would try and pray every time he got one of these urges. He knew it was wrong. And he said he stopped robbing graves around 1954. And he actually felt that his prayers may have been answered. Okay. So he says he stopped this, right, in 1954. Mary Hogan went missing in 1954. So he robbed graves for a long time, but then, in my opinion,
switched to live people.
He was like, this ain't working no more. So I'm gonna kill.
It's called escalation,
freshly,
as we know now.
So that is my opinion. That's not what anybody said in the books. The book I read, but I just made that connection just now.
No,
so,
yeah.
To me, that says escalation. As word spread of the gruesome discoveries found in Ed's home, along with his confession, it didn't take long for nicknames to start showing up in papers and the media. His farm was dubbed Death Farm, and Ed was nicknamed the Mad Butcher of Plainfield. I know, that's pretty bad.
The Mad Butcher. Okay, the story still doesn't ring a bell for me. I'm going to be honest with you.
How the fuck do you not know anything about Ed Gein?
I know nothing. I literally, this is my first time hearing about this, but I have heard the nickname, the Mad Butcher, before. I just didn't know it was him.
I can't wait till we get to the end so I can tell you. Never mind. I'm just going to wait till the very end. It's literally one of the last things I say. So, there were many among the townspeople and investigators that believed that Ed couldn't have ever robbed a grave, and instead they thought that he had murdered all of these victims. So investigators did say that they did smell some very strong stench of formaldehyde, but they said that this wasn't necessarily evident that he had robbed graves. Instead, he could be some amateur taxidermist. Okay, sure. We'll go for that. Over the course of the next few weeks, they ended up having Ed take multiple lie detector tests, and it came back every single time that he was telling the truth, literally on everything. Now, I'm going to mention this just very briefly, but in a crazy turn of events, a woman named was it Alan? That's what my notes say, but I think I might have written her name down. Miss Watkins is what we're going to say, said that she had secretly been dating Ed for the past 20 years.
What?
I know. And it came out that like they were in this like huge love affair type, not affair, but like secret love relationship and like all this stuff. And the papers were such fucking assholes back then. They called this poor woman, quote, severely plain woman.
That's just not okay.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Whatever the fuck that means, right?
How rude.
A few days after this all came out in like, I think it was a newspaper or a magazine or something, she came out and retracted everything and blamed the media for twisting her words and making the whole story more sensational than what it really was. So I don't fucking know what happened there. After spending more time with Ed and, you know, him giving more and more details about his crimes, it came out that he would, oh my God, he'd actually wear these skin suits that he created.
Stop.
I mean, he would put the whole thing on, the whole gamut, okay?
Oh, Ed.
He confessed that he would take the vaginas, the vulvas, and lay them over his genitals, and then he'd wear the skin suits as if he was a woman himself.
Okay.
He made comments that he did wish that he had been born a woman rather than a man, and that he had actually even thought about doing the operation to himself.
No.
Right? What?
Be advised, you are not a doctor.
No. When it came to the trial, Ed pled not guilty by reason of insanity, and the judge ordered him to a mental hospital for a psych evaluation. But what's the motive here? Everyone's wondering. That's the question. Everybody keeps asking.
That is the question.
Fuck is the motive? And Ed said that after his time in jail, he had a lot of time to think about this. And he came to the conclusion that the reason for all of this was because that day, all those years ago, when his mom and him saw the farmer beating the dog and the woman came out and tried to get him to stop. This made his mom so upset that the heathen of a woman was in a man's house while they were unmarried that it caused her to have that fatal stroke just 1 week later.
Oh my God.
Now, are you thinking that, oh, so he's blaming his mom's stroke and her passing on him unraveling?
Yeah.
Wrong. No.
Okay.
He's blaming it all on this woman.
On that woman?
On that woman.
That his mom blamed.
Because if she wouldn't have been there, then his mom wouldn't have been so upset and she wouldn't have had a stroke and she wouldn't have died and he wouldn't have spiraled out of control. It is that fucking fallen, sinful Jezebel woman.
Okay.
Many psychiatrists all over the country, because this went crazy everywhere. Everybody everywhere knew about this. And many psychiatrists, well, you were still swimming at 1950-something.
I was swimming inside of a swimmer.
Yeah, you were sitting inside of a swimmer.
If you will.
You were the Russian doll yourself.
Pretty much.
Many of these psychiatrists from all across the country tried to diagnose Ed without evaluating him, and the diagnoses were fucking all over the place. But other, more professional, in my opinion, psychiatrists said that a diagnosis was completely impossible without extensive in-person evaluations of Ed.
I agree.
Agreed. As Ed was being held in jail getting ready for his evaluations, there were many questions the investigators were trying to piece together. The biggest controversy was the debate over digging up graves. You know, this was due to the cost and the emotional trauma this was going to cause to the victims' families. But after more interrogation with Ed, he ended up giving them a list of graves that he had dug up. So without really any other choice, they decided to go dig up a few of them to get some answers.
So he remembered.
Yeah.
Who he dug up?
Yeah.
Interesting.
They had to figure out whether Ed did really dig up these graves by himself or if these victims were in fact murder victims. And for the most part, people believed these were murder victims. They did not believe that, because Ed was a small man. He's very short and just kind of like this lanky, tiny little man.
Okay.
So they were like, there's no fucking way he could dig up a grave.
Well,
so one day, a few officers and the families of the victims went out to the graveyard and began digging. Many, like I said, were on that side of this being an impossible task for one man, especially a tiny little man like Ed Gein. But after only 1 hour of digging, 2 men reached the casket that was just a couple feet under the earth, meaning this was like a pretty compact grave. It had been buried for some time. And that means a small little man like Ed Gein, he could definitely dig up a fresh grave pretty easily.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. At night by himself. Yeah. Totally doable. In this moment, they all quickly realized that this was definitely doable by Ed. And just one look at the casket let them know that it had in fact been tampered with. In a moment, everyone was shocked and disturbed because Ed had been telling the truth this whole time. After this revelation, they decided to dig up one more grave, and this one was even more disturbing to them because when they got to the casket, they found bones on top of the casket.
What?
Outside of it, yeah. At first, they were confused, like, what the fuck is going on? But then they remembered that Ed confessed to either coming out of the days mid-dig, and he also sometimes would come back and, put back what he didn't need anymore and then rebury it. So they think he just put some shit back. And it was, so we don't know if it was put back with skin on it and it just decomposed. We don't know. But it was just bones that they found at that point. After this, it was concluded that Ed had in fact been telling the truth the whole time. He had robbed multiple graves around the area and he was able to do this all by himself because, like I said, the bodies were freshly buried. Now, he, like I said at the beginning, he picked these graves by looking at these death announcements. And he even confessed that without realizing it, he was probably picking women that looked a lot like his mama.
Really?
Yeah. All these women had
did mom look? Did she have dark hair? Or
I think she had dark hair. I should have really looked at a picture before I showed.
Do you think they have pictures of her?
Yeah. Look her up while I'm talking. Augusta Gein. At least maybe it's probably just a drawing, but I'm sure there's something online.
Yeah.
Now, with this conclusion, the county police and investigators were not going to dig up any more graves, mostly due to the cost. This was a very costly and time, consuming endeavor. But shortly after this, the governor of Wisconsin came out and said that they would have the state take over the investigation and burden the cost so that every aspect of this case could be investigated just in case more murder victims had, in fact, been, a victim of Ed Gein. After multiple psychological evaluations, it was stated that Ed's behavior and personality were swayed by a strong emotional disturbance that was psychotic in nature. It was also revealed that he was slightly above average in his IQ, but he was functioning at a very insufficient level. He also had an insufficient ego. He was immature, emotionally dull, and had a strong feminine identity. Bizarre religious beliefs, and a tendency to blame others for evil. Straight from Augusta down to Ed.
That's par for the course with his mother. So
right. On top of all of that, he had an immature sexuality shrouded by guilt and shame. Thank you, religious indoctrination.
Yeah.
While he was at the mental hospital, Ed complained of headaches and stomach aches and even complained multiple times of very foul odors. After multiple times complaining about this, finally a doctor was like, Ed, what does it smell like? And after some time thinking about it, Ed goes, smells like flesh.
Oh.
So, Ash and Elena on Morbid covered this, and Elena used to do, I don't know, she might still do it from time to time, but she was a court, autopsy technician person. What do we call those? And
mortician
she said,
tech?
She did the autopsies.
Never mind.
Whatever.
I don't know what that is then.
I'm drawing a blank. Jesus Christ. But she said that smell, like the smell of death, can literally get stuck in your nostrils for some time. And so she was saying that maybe it had just been imprinted in there and it took years for it to go away.
I know it's such a recognizable,
yeah. That's what I've heard. Once you smell it,
you know what it is, even though you smelled it before.
For the rest of your life, yeah.
It's a biological primitive smell we recognize.
Yeah. We also find out that Ed only dated one girl, but she didn't get along with his mom, and he said that he, quote, couldn't straighten her out on that. So he let her go.
Oh my God.
Count yourself lucky, my girl.
Yes.
He then said that he almost fell in love with another woman, but thank God he found out that she slept with another man before him. So he cut her off.
Good on you, girl.
Right.
Good on you.
When he was asked about his 2 victims, he said that the first one, Mary Hogan, was a dirty trucker who operated a tavern and was rumored to be in some crooked business. Yeah, through these investigations, he finally was like, dude, you fucking killed her. Like, we know. We have her body.
We'll slap the shit out of him.
Mm-hmm. He said that his second victim, Bernice Warden, she wooed her husband away from another girl and married him shortly after the other girl committed suicide. Yeah. And her husband had died a handful of years before this whole thing happened. And I think it was like some kind of blood disease. And Ed said that it was God punishing her for stealing another woman's man.
That's not how medical things work, but okay.
Nope. Yep. These evaluations, like I listed earlier, said that Ed had a tendency to blame others for even his actions. Boy, does he. He blamed all of this on his neighbors for not visiting or taking interest in him. I know. Like he refuses.
You didn't notice me.
He refuses to take accountability. Like he is just going to blame everybody else. Mm-hmm. He may have been introverted, odd, and slightly paranoid at times, but he feels like he was taken advantage of by his neighbors. And like he easily could have been taken advantage of. I'm not going to say he wasn't because he was odd and people are people and people can be mean. So yeah. He even went as far as to say that he believed that all of this was orchestrated. Even what he did. It was all orchestrated by God. And so, like, it was all going to happen.
Don't let me meet that God. He will have to beg for my forgiveness.
Mm-hmm. Bizarre religious beliefs, they said.
Uh-huh.
Now, I have no idea where to add this in, so I'm just going to add it in right here. But Ed said that at one point, he truly felt that he could raise people from the dead. He literally believed he had that power.
But did you?
Right. No. All of these people still remain dead, and you use them as weird fucking, I don't even know what the fuck to call them in your home. So I'm sure you're all wondering, was part of his motive sexual in nature?
I'm wondering that because of the lips and the vulva and the...
Mm-hmm. Well, honestly, that's really up to you to decide because Ed vehemently denies having sex with any of the cadavers and even confessed to never having had sex with anyone before. The only thing that he had ever done was masturbate. So here's where I stand on this. In my opinion, I feel like he had to have done something sexual with his victims or got some type of immense sexual gratification from his crimes because he tried to say that the reason he didn't have sex with his victims was because they smelled too bad, but due to like being dead. But let's remember, he had rotting, decomposing body parts in his fucking house everywhere. His whole house was covered in rotting, decomposed body parts. And then he would wear the skin suits that he made. I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure these masks don't smell good. And you're putting over your face and on your whole entire body and walking around. Even outside, he'd walk around his house in these suits and he'd go out on the farm. Can you imagine walking by and seeing that? In the middle of the night? Moonlight? What the fuck?
In broad daylight, I'd be... Either way.
It's all fucking creepy.
I'm
right?
sorry. Did any of this inspire the Hannibal Lecter stuff?
Yep. It's all based off Ed Gein.
I hate everything.
And that's not the only one. I list them all out at the end. Yep. Also, I
don't watch horror films. And this is why.
Oh, no. Well, he also, took those skulls and cut them off, cut the tops off and ate soup out of them. But eating soup out of a skull, that's okay. Ugh. But you won't fuck a dead body. Like, that was too far. Like, it's all bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm just saying you said it smelled bad and that's why you didn't.
It's just weird, like, priorities in general and, like, conditions that he played. It's like he made rules for himself in a twisted way.
But I
twisted things.
I don't believe him. Because
you think he had sex with him?
Absolutely. He either had sex, masturbated, something. He did something because...
I don't believe he had sex with them. I think he probably masturbated, like, got off.
But he denies all of it. But he denies all sexual stuff. He's like, it's all scientific. I don't believe that because he knew murder was wrong And he would get really squirmy in these investigations and interrogations with him when it came to the murder. He'd be like, I don't remember. I was in a daze. I don't remember. But then he would talk about, robbing the graves in great detail because he knew it was wrong, but he didn't feel like it was sinful. It was all, in his head, scientific. But sex was like the big thing his mom drilled into him that was religiously wrong.
That's what I'm thinking. Why I feel that he probably didn't have sex like with the body or like with the vaginas. I feel like he just masturbated to them.
I think he did because he didn't want to talk about. He was like, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. But he also didn't want to talk about the murders. And he was like, like I don't remember because he's shameful about that because that's a sin to murder somebody. And so my thought is he did. But it's up to you to make that decision on your own. Yeah.
Did he die? Is he dead now?
Yeah. He's way dead. Dead, doornail.
Dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said earlier, also he denied participating in cannibalism. He says he didn't eat the victims. And I also I do believe that because like there was not one point of evidence that I read in the book that it pointed to any kind of cannibalism. So I don't think he ate them.
I think with him anything is possible.
You are right. I could be easily wrong.
We could all be wrong. It could be so much worse than what we actually know.
I was about to say something, but it was like an inside thought, and I'm not going to say it all out because it's gross and it'll make everyone throw up. But anyways.
I feel like I just heard it in my own head. Why did you do that?
Why did you do that to me? Right.
Oh, man. I literally feel like throwing up. I'm like,
I know.
Vomit warning. I might gag in a minute. Because I didn't tell you that earlier before you said don't look at the pictures. When I was like scrolling through pictures of like his mom.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty much right there. They're all right there.
When you said the face fully intact.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I feel like I'm going to throw up.
We are not going to post these on our Instagram. You can Google them if you want, but we are not going to be posting these. To get our account.
This is not to make you curious. I'm not saying this to make you curious. Please, I beg of you, do not look it up.
Yeah. It's just, ugh. Yeah. What I was going to say is like, he says he didn't do any cannibalism, but I think that he even accidentally probably participated in cannibalism because you can't tell. He was dirty as fuck. He cutting up these bodies and then he goes and makes himself a sandwich. Mm-mm.
There's cross-contamination.
There's absolutely. Yeah. It's just. Bleh. After all his evaluations, he was diagnosed with being schizophrenic and ruled legally insane and mandated to the state mental hospital. After that, his property was set to be auctioned off, but on March 24th at 2:30 a.m., Ed Gein's home caught fire and burned to the ground. The only thing that was saved were the outbuildings, and it was investigated, but there was no evidence of any arson, even though it was highly suspected to be arson due to the fact that the home had no electricity. And people just like didn't want the auction to go off because it was supposed to be happening on like Palm Sunday or something. So all the religious people were like, this is a slap to, you're slapping God in the face kind of thing. So it was a pretty big uproar. But they went ahead and proceeded with the auction and sold some of the equipment that had been burned along with the land that hadn't been burned, along with the land. The whole property was sold for $3,883 to a real estate developer. And the only item that set off a bidding war was Ed Gein's car. It ended up being purchased by the Koch brothers, who ended up turning it into the, quote, Ed Gein ghoul car. I swear to God. It's fucking gross.
Why that's romanticizing the whole thing.
That's what I'm saying. Absolutely.
We gotta not do that shit.
It made its first appearance in 1958 at a county fair. The men had spruced it up and put a dummy in the front seat and then another one laying in the back as his mutilated victim. A sign at the booth read, quote, see the car that hauled the dead from their graves.
Oh my fucking God.
Mm-hmm. Once word got around about this attraction, it stirred up a very big controversy. At first, the owner of the car didn't mind because, publicity is publicity, good or bad. But eventually it caused a lot of trouble. At one fair, he started to set up, but within a couple hours, the sheriff showed up and told him to pack his shit and leave. Then after that, all the surrounding county fairs barred him from having a booth. Yep. So he then took the car down south, hoping that he could, present it in different state fairs that had, not such close ties to Wisconsin. After that, I'm not really sure what happened to it, but people are weird. I'm sorry. That's romanticizing, like Lila said, and I don't like it. If you collect serial killer memorabilia, I have a huge problem with that. And it's just icky. No.
I hate the lyric. Now, I love Kesha, but the whole like, something eat me like Jeffrey Dahmer or something like that.
Oh, I don't like that.
I believe it's a Kesha song where it says something about Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh, no, don't do that. I don't like that at all. Nope. Now, in the state hospital, Ed wasn't allowed visitors, but he did receive letters from many infatuated women who requested locks of his hair. Can they just get put into a state hospital? Because I am like, you need devaluated. This is not okay. Not healthy. Go to therapy. Years later, after the property had been sold, some men saw their dogs frantically digging at a hole on Ed's old property. So they went over to check it out. And when they got there, they ended up discovering a burial site full of human bones. They called it in and the FBI came out, packed up everything, and shipped it back to the lab for evaluation. Then, in December of 1962, it was requested that the state pay for a burial spot for all of Ed Gein's victims' remains that he had ended up digging up. At this point, all the bones had been cremated, but a reverend had requested that they get reburied on hollow ground so that they could be returned to the earth and live out their life in the afterlife in peace. The request was immediately granted, and shortly after that, the remains returned quietly to an unmarked grave. In 1962, the governor went to the mental institution to do a budget hearing before he took office. So this was like a new governor. While he was there, he was given a tour of the facilities and found a small gray-haired man leaning over a bench doing some work. The governor asked him if he liked it there, and the small man looked at him and said, "I like it here. It's nice." But then the little man leaned in a little bit closer and told the governor that, "But some of the people here are really disturbed." The governor understood what he meant and gave him a little nod and a handshake and then turned around to leave. It wasn't until he walked away when a reporter told him he had just shook the hand of Ed Gein. And Ed Gein had the audacity to be like, "Some people are fucked up here, man."
What kind of mind fuck is this?
Right?
What?
Right?
It won't end.
You're not fucked up, but everybody else is fucked up. Ed, my man. Not even my man. Not my man. I take that back.
She said, my anti-man.
Yeah. Ugh. 6 years later, in 1968, the hospital staff sent a letter to the judge saying that they believed that Ed Gein had recovered enough in order to understand the charges laid against him and help in his defense at trial. But they also ended the letter by saying that Ed was still considered to be clinically insane. Many did not want to, but they needed to give Ed his day in court. It was his right to have a trial, but everybody knew what the outcome was going to be. Ed was going to be found guilty of the murder, but he would be remanded right back to the state hospital. But because of the law, they had no other choice but to give him his day in court. The trial was 1 week long, and it was a split trial. The first trial was the murder of Bernice Worden, and then the second part of the trial was to declare whether he was sane or insane at the time of the murder. In the end, he, like everyone had assumed, he was found guilty for the murder, but then found not guilty by reason of insanity. And like everybody had guessed, he returned straight back to the state mental hospital. So even though he was considered not guilty, he was still considered clinically insane and a danger to society. So that's why he was put in the state hospital until he could maybe recover and be released back to general, normal population. Another 6 years passed before Ed's name was back on the court docket. In February of 1974, he petitioned the court saying he had fully recovered and requested that he be released. He had a hearing and multiple doctors disagreed with Ed's statement. They said that while, yes, Ed was a model patient whom they had no trouble with, his mental illness was hiding just beneath the surface. And if he was freed, they believed that the smallest thing could spark it to unravel. They had it controlled in a controlled, environment like the state hospital, but out in society where anything and everything is up to chance, they were not willing to take that. Through his time in the mental hospital, he continued to not take responsibility for what he had done. And he tried to say that the past is the past. Just let it be. Stop harping on it, basically.
What? Of course you can let it go.
Right.
Actually, how can you let it go? Do you not still smell the flesh? Do you not still?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Thankfully, the judge... Thankfully, the judge, though, denied Ed's request and he was sent back to the state mental hospital. On July 29th, 1984, 10 years after his request to be released, Ed died from respiratory failure after suffering with cancer at the age of 77. His case... He
lived a long life.
He really did. His case remains one of the most infamous in American criminal history, inspiring several fictional characters, most notably Norman Bates in the novel Psycho, and then Alfred Hitchcock's subsequent film adaptation to the book, Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Buffalo Bill in The Silence of the Lambs, and more. Ed's macabre legacy continues to be a subject of fascination and horror in popular culture, symbolizing the darkest aspects of human behavior and mental illness.
Do you think that there's ever been anyone else like him?
Absolutely.
Like as bad as him? As dark and as like...
I don't know.
From what we've talked about on this podcast so far...
It's okay. It's hard because it's like all subjective. So like it depends on what you see as bad. Like I consider Jeffrey Dahmer way worse than Ed Gein because
because he ate
Ed Gein was disgusting and macabre and dug up graves and it was just disrespectful. But everybody was dead when he did this to them, and he didn't torture them in any way, shape, or form.
That's the only thing you really can be grateful for in their death.
Exactly. Jeffrey, he actually
I didn't think about that.
Toyed with his victims.
Yeah.
And defiled their bodies. And it was this, and he ate them. And to me, that's the worst, but it's very subjective. Other people could be like, oh my God, Ed Gein was way worse.
That's true. Yeah. And we've got some where it's like, people may think like child crimes, hold more weight than like crimes against adults. Yeah, you're right. It is subjective for sure.
It's very subjective. It's all bad, but
like the way Jeffrey Dahmer didn't inspire a whole lot of like, he's his name. You hear it, his name, and his story. But like,
right,
he didn't inspire all of these like horror characters and these fantastical and romanticized ideas when it comes to the scares.
I will say for Ed, it was so macabre and out there that people couldn't help but be fascinated or intrigued by the crimes because like he wore the fucking skin suits. He made a belt out of nipples. He collected women's vulvas and he wore masks of these women. They're their masks, like real human skin mask. You couldn't write it.
You can't make this shit up.
You can't.
You were right about it being graphic.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, but you have to kind of.
There's no way around it. That's what he did.
Yeah, I couldn't just be like they found a ton of women's body parts. Like that doesn't give you the scope of what all they fucking found
and what was done to them.
Yeah. And a lot of that we don't know. So like
skinning them.
Yeah, they were dead. And thankfully, from what we know, I think they did say Bernice Worden, that the shot in her back, they said she would have died pretty shortly after she was shot where they found the bullet hole. So
what he did to the remains and not really to her, which is like the only good news.
Yeah. Like, in my opinion, I will cover another serial killer who I think is way worse.
Really? Okay.
It's not macabre. It is macabre, but it's not like, I was going to say graphic. It is graphic. Is
it not as bold?
It's worse because it happens to live victims. It's torture. Oof. Like, I'll just give it to you right there. It's torture. It's like the worst torture I've ever read about.
That's the reason why I can't watch horror films.
Yeah. It's the torture part.
Because like if it was just, I can't stand that. Those like, Like the black phone. What is it?
Oh,
the black phone.
Oh, yeah. See, I can't either. It terrifies me. I used to watch
what
horror.
is it? Saw, and I don't know.
Dude, I used to watch horror movies growing up like nobody's business. I loved them. I would wake up. I swear we should have known that I would try to make true crime my fucking job, because
you should have known.
When I was in junior high, I don't know why I'm whispering. I would wake up and I would put Saw on while I was getting ready for school.
Who are you?
Oh, what does that say about me? I need to go to therapy.
Lazy.
I know. Even Tyler's like, what the fuck? And I was like, I know.
What is wrong with you? No wonder your one child likes the
I know,
scary.
Right. She's my little morbid baby. I also loved CSI, but I loved like the science behind it and like how they would figure out the crimes and everything.
You know, I only got into listening to true crime in 2019, I think. 2020, something like that. I mean, like, I will say that my mother always watched Law and Order, the SVU and Criminal Intent.
Yeah.
I think those are the only two versions of it. I don't know. But she had like every single DVD. She had every box set. She loved them. And that was the only like crime thing that she really watched. And every day I'd come home from school, it would be around 3 p.m. and she'd be watching it. And it made me like really scared when it would be on. I wouldn't stay in the room. I'd watch a little bit, but then it would get to a part where it was like crime was happening.
Yeah.
I was like, and I'd just run away to my room. I didn't watch scary movies. The scariest thing I ever watched as a child, like before I turned 18 or 19, was Heath Ledger's version of the Joker, The Dark Knight.
Oh, that's not scary.
And it's nothing. It's just bullets, and they just drop immediately. There's nothing. You don't even see blood in there.
Yeah, like I said, I grew up religious, but not until I was like in like way later into junior high, into high school and stuff. And so my parents weren't religious, and so my mom, like our house was the house that everybody came over to watch the movies their parents said they couldn't watch. Like that was my house. My mom had two movies that we weren't allowed to watch: Silence of the Lambs and Children of the Corn. To this day, I have not seen Children of the Corn, but because we lived so far out of town, we knew we had about 2 to 3 hours when my mom left to go do the grocery shopping before she'd get home. So one day when she left, my sister popped in Silence of the Lambs and we all watched it together.
I watched Silence of the Lambs. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It was more like psychological.
It is.
Thriller.
Definitely.
So I felt like I was able to get through it okay.
Yeah.
Ish. It still wasn't great to watch. I wouldn't watch it again.
It wasn't my favorite horror movie. I think if I like, I like the Scream movies, that series. I really like those. Those aren't like super bad. I don't know. I've started rewatching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre because when I got into like being religious, I stopped watching all horror movies because it was like, oh my God, you're defiling your mind with evil. And so I stopped. But now I consume it with actual real life true crime. So, that's par for the course.
I watch the like documentaries, and that's my horror films is the real stuff.
Sometimes it's easier because there's not all that like psychological buildup and stress.
Or jump scares.
Yeah, it's not, I don't think I could listen to a podcast that was like that.
I think it's not a horror film, but a scary film. The last one that I have ever seen, and this is probably like 4 or 5 years ago, was Hush.
I don't know that one.
A deaf girl lives in a cabin in the woods.
Oh.
By herself. And she like has a lot of windows, apparently, like a lot of glassed in walls. And there's a guy with a mask outside.
Oh, hell no.
He's got a knife and he's like killing everyone that's coming to try to save her. And he's like stalking her outside of the house, following her. And she's deaf. So she's like going off of the feeling of everything and like her home alerts and stuff. And it's very...
Oh, that would trip
great
me
ending.
out.
Amazing ending. It's awesome. But like, and she's... I don't know. It was a good film, but I also skipped all the bloody parts. Like when I knew a bloody part was coming, I would just skip forward until it looked like it was fine again.
Yeah.
So,
see, I can handle like true crime, but then like if I watch like a scary movie, I'm going to have a bad dream for 2 nights in a row easily.
I have bad dreams every day.
Oh my God, you poor thing. I don't.
It's fine.
Worse
things have happened. I've lived it in real life, so
no,
it's fine.
Okay, I'm gonna take a sharp, hard right turn because we're past the 1.5 hour mark. So I think we should just jump into some palate cleansers.
Let me say mine first.
Yay!
Lacey sent me a little gift today. Scared the shit out of me. By the way, so she texted me. Firstly, I'm at my house and a delivery person pulls up in a residential car. And I'm like, what are you doing? I didn't order a pizza. That's my first thought.
Right. Go the fuck away.
And then the person sees my dogs, freaks out, drops the package onto my flower bed right underneath my mailbox, and then runs away.
They're
and I'm like, valid. My dogs are crazy. I get it. Even though they're inside, they're not going to get you. But
right.
Then 5 minutes, no, not even 5 minutes later, like 2 minutes later, Lacey's like, you have a package on your porch, or like a package has been delivered. And I'm like,
a text message, so I didn't sound like that. That's just
that's how I read it, because you sent a smiley face, and I was like,
I did.
At first I was like, is Lacey here? Is that what's happening right now?
Oh my God, I wish.
But no, to my excitement, the package was barbecue chips and Oreos, which are 2 of my favorite snicky snacks.
I did.
So
I was
good.
a little sneaky little snack. And I texted her fiance and was like, I want to send Lola a little package. She's been a little stressed with work lately. And I want to send her a little something. So I sent her her favorite tea, some Oreos, because Oreos are the fucking best. And then barbecue chips.
God. I ate so many Oreos before we started recording tonight.
I fucking love Oreos. And I sent you the double stuffed, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the only way to go, baby.
You're a double stuffed girl, aren't you?
I am. Double stuff it all the way.
All right, what's your palate cleanser?
Okay, I have a funny story for you guys, and I have been laughing all day at this, and I have to share it. So there was a TikTok that was like, what is a fucked up thing that your ex did to you? Okay. And
I saw it.
You saw my video? Okay. So this is going to come out like 2 months after this. Some of you may have seen this, but I tell this story because it was not what my ex did to me, but it was what I did to my ex. So my ex, Chris, when I was like, it was my first like love. We were very horny little teenagers. And so we fooled around all the time. And one day he was over at my house and I was straightening my hair, and then he was being a little, horny little boy. And he comes up to me and he drops his pants and he shoves his dick in my face. And I was trying to straighten my hair. And so I took my straightener and I kind of like snapped it like, hey, get away from me. And he approached me while I'm straightening my hair with his dick. Okay. What did he expect to happen? And I'm like, get away from me. And I'm not looking like where I'm doing this. And at the same time that I like snapped my straightener, he thrusted, and the poor guy burned the tip of his penis. And this was like right around the time that like straighteners first came out. And so I didn't realize that like it's best to not put it on the highest setting. And so mine was on the highest setting. The poor guy, he probably at least got a second, possibly third degree burn.
Just the tip. I swear, his wife now is like, what is that? I don't want to talk about it.
Don't fucking ask. So my sister finds the video and she texts me. She's laughing her fucking ass off. She's like, oh my God, I forgot about that story. And then I go to the comments, and boy, these fucking...
Oh, I didn't look at the comments.
Oh, the comments had me fucking rolling. Somebody was like, can somebody please search down Crispy Tip Chris?
Stop. No.
And then someone else commented and said, you made a weenie panini.
Stop it.
The way.
Weenie panini.
Weenie panini. I laughed so fucking hard. I was like, okay. And this guy, Chris and I, we've stayed in contact off and on. very little contact. But he had some family stuff happen about a year ago. So that was the last time I was in contact with him. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to send him the video. And so I copied the Instagram link and I sent it to him. And I was like, please don't hate me. But I hope that all these years later, you're able to laugh at this as much as I have.
Did he laugh?
He did. I was like, I told my sister, I was like, this is either going to go one of two
really
extremes.
well or really bad.
He's going to laugh with us or he's never going to talk to me again. Like there's no in between on this. And he laughed and he was like, oh my God, I do remember that. And I have never made that mistake again.
He has never thrusted near a straightener ever again.
Everybody, there was multiple comments that were like, is he okay? Like, I need to know if he's okay. And I was like, I'm happy.
I need to know if he survived.
I'm happy to announce that
the tip burn of 2012 or whatever.
I was married
2008, 2007,
2005 or 5. Probably 2005. I was around 15. I was like 14, 15. So 2004, 2005. Oh my gosh.
No, I was 7.
Yeah,
I was 7.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, I'm happy to announce that he's happy, healthy, and married. So it's good.
His penis was not it was not ruined for his wife.
Yeah, it wasn't a permanent
she's getting
weenie
dick
panini.
Down by the crispy Dick Chris. I've got to stop talking about other men's penises.
I know, right? Whew. All right.
Good talk.
I'm glad. Hopefully that was a little bit of levity, brevity, whatever the fuck it's called, for you in these moments after Ed Gein, because he is, I don't have words. I just don't. But yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed that. And yeah.
And with that,
stay safe, stay skeptical, and steer clear of the cultish carousel.